Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Empower Her podcast. Today's episode is another woo episode, let's say. The last few episodes, we've talked about the ego, higher self, how to deal with rejection, a lot of that spirituality side. And while I love the strategy and I implement the strategy and I teach my clients the strategy, I also think it's important to have the mindset side or spirituality side, however you want to call it. I do think that they're similar and they can kind of be interchangeable. And hopefully, if you're here, you also enjoy that side as well. And I really want to talk today about manifesting and how we can sort of show up as our best selves while we're waiting for our goal to come to fruition, while we're waiting for a manifestation to come. And by the way, spirituality, specifically manifestation, is rooted in science. It's quantum physics. So if you're thinking, this is a little too spiritual for me, it's actually physics. And I'm going to talk about that aspect as well and not just the spirituality aspect. But I do want to touch on the spirituality aspect and kind of the energy behind it and sort of what it means when you desire something, right? So many of us have goals or we have things that we really want, even if we're not at the point of manifesting them yet. And a lot of times we think, that goal's never going to come to fruition. It's never going to actualize. But I actually disagree. So, what I believe and what I've learned kind of from learning about spirituality and sort of my practices that if you really feel that you have a desire, then that desire is going to be yours. So, because of that, those things that you want, those desires that you have, that's coming from a certain energetic frequency of your subconscious, your mind, your higher self, knowing that they already have those things. And that's why you want it. So that's why you feel that need for that goal to come true, right? And this can be for anything, right? Whether it's landing a new job, finding a partner, making money, right? And the reason that it's not coming to fruition yet is not because it's not meant for you, right? It's just because there are other things in the way. And I want to talk about that. So I have a client, just a little story. She is a master manifester. She lately has been getting everything that she wanted, whether it's in her personal life, her career. And why is that, right? Why is she manifesting all those things that she wants? Because she is in an energetic state to be open to those things. So, what does that look like? Let's take an example of you want a new job because a lot of my clients are career coaching clients, right? So, I coach them on how to get their dream career or find their next job, right? So, let's say you want a new job and you're taking action, you're applying to roles, you're sending out some networking emails, but that's it, right? You feel okay about the process. It's not super negative, not super positive. You're just like, I'm applying and hopefully something comes out of it, right? But this isn't enough. This isn't being in that energetically open state, right? Because at the end of the day, jobs can come out of much more than just applying. So, if when we're manifesting, right, using this example, we are manifesting our dream job, we're manifesting our next goal, right? It's not just about applying to jobs on LinkedIn or whatever site, right? It's about being open to your manifestation. It's about being having an abundance mindset, understanding that your manifestation might not come from where you thought it was going to come from. Maybe the job you get isn't going to be from you applying to a role, right? For example, maybe you have a connection who posts on LinkedIn about hiring and you comment on their post and then you end up talking to that person and you end up getting a job there. Or maybe you're sitting at a coffee shop and you end up speaking to some person randomly and they say they're hiring and to send your resume. That just happened to a client of mine, right? You think that doesn't happen. It does happen, right? Or maybe you go to a party. You end up going to a party with some of your friends who, and there's a lot of people there you don't know. And then you end up talking to someone who's a recruiter at your dream company, right? Do you see the difference of how being open to the opportunities is different than just like taking action and just applying to roles? You have to actually be open to your manifestations because at the end of the day, your dream role, your manifestation could come in many different forms. You don't know how it's going to come. And that's the basis of meditation, manifestation. You can also meditate when you manifest, but the basis of manifestation is that you have a goal, right? To get the job. But how it happens, that's not up to you. That's up to the universe. And you being open, you putting in work, you being energetically available to attract what you want is what's going to open up those possibilities for you. Here's another personal story of mine. So, I've mentioned before on the podcast my last relationship that I had, it ended in 2020. It did not have a great ending, right? It was super sad. I was super down. And I was someone that pretty much since I was 16 have been in relationships. I had some single areas, but not like for super long. And I didn't really date or really enjoy dating or being single at that point. So after my last breakup, I was desperate to find a new guy, right? Because obviously I was trying to fill that void of missing that person. I was going on dates after dates after dates. And now I know, thanks to therapy, obviously, that I was trying to fill that void. But I was not going to attract what I wanted because I wasn't in an energetic state to attract what I actually wanted, right? My nervous system was dysregulated. I was super down. My mindset were super negative. Like I didn't think I didn't believe that I was capable or that I was worthy of a great relationship, right? And that's why it was like not appropriate for me. I shouldn't have been dating. But of course, I was because I wasn't in a great mind state, but I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. Right. So I decided finally to go to therapy. I decided to start working on myself, doing nervous system regulation, mindset work. I really was like changing the way that I thought about myself and the relationship I had with myself. And then I started dating, right? I was open to people, but I also didn't put this enormous pressure on myself. I was just enjoying the journey. I was enjoying understanding who I was better and understanding who I am as a person and what I need, right? And that was super, super important. They always say that phrase when you're, kind of looking for a relationship. They say, oh, it happens when you stop looking. And I know that triggers a lot of people. I think I understand what people are trying to say with this, but this isn't the correct phrase. What the correct way to do this is, and the correct way to say this is not that you stop looking, it's that you focus on the journey and not the outcome. The outcome in this case would be having that new partner, but you stop focusing on the outcome. It's still a goal, right? It's not saying that's not the goal. It's still going to be a goal, but you're focusing on yourself. You're focusing on what makes you feel good. You're focusing on doing things that make you happy, building yourself up, working on your mindset, working on your nervous system regulation, and working on understanding what you need while still dating, taking the aligned action, whatever it is. And that's how you're going to be open to that person. Because what happens is, and this is where the science comes in, right? If you have a dysregulated nervous system, you're anxious, you feel intense pain, you're sad, right? And you go into manifesting in that way, you're going to have a dysregulated nervous system. And if you have a dysregulated nervous system, your brain is not working at full capacity. You will not think abundant thoughts, and therefore you won't be open to your manifestations, right? If I'm in a bad mood and I'm sad about my ex and I go to a bar and some guy who's really nice comes up to me and starts chatting with me, I'm not necessarily going to be open to that interaction. I'm not going to be open to having that conversation, right? And so then how can I be open to my dream partner if I'm not in a good headspace and not in a good place to manifest my goals, right? So it's like dating or finding a job, right? If you're not open to other possibilities of finding a job, then it's not going to happen. You have to work on your mindset and your nervous system regulation when you're talking about manifesting, right? Because again, then you won't be in that energetic space to tune into the world around you. That's the whole point of manifesting. And what I talked about a few weeks ago with your ego and higher self is being in that version of your higher self. How would your higher self feel, act, and behave? That's the person that's going to get that dream job or the dream partner or whatever it is, right? Because otherwise, you're going to be energetically blocked from seeing all those amazing things that are happening around you that could actually get you to where you want to be, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want something, I mentioned this at the beginning, if you have a desire for something and you're manifesting something, it will come. It's going to come because the reason you want that thing is because in another dimension, another version of you already has it, right? That's a little bit woo and spiritual, but another version of you already has that, right? Another version of you already has that amount of money or that house or that dream partner or that job. So it's about really tapping into that version of you who already has it and then becoming that person now through the mindset work, through the nervous system regulation, through therapy, whatever is needed for you, become that person now so that then you can manifest and attract all of those things that you want, right? And this is really where that desire is, right? But again, in order to get your manifestations, sometimes other things need to happen as well. I was just talking to some of my clients about this is that, their manifestations haven't come true yet, right? And I'm like, okay, what's the lesson that can be learned in this time, right? Maybe it's that you're not reacting well to rejection. Maybe it's that you're still going for men that treat you badly, right? Like, what is the lesson you still need to learn, right? And it's not the universe testing or being mean or whatever. It's just you haven't gotten to the place where you can attract what you want because you still have a lesson to learn. You still need to make changes. You still need to adapt. You still need to get to the point where you attract the highest version of yourself because once your manifestation comes true, you will know it, you will feel it, you will see it, and you will understand why it came at that time, right? Hindsight's always 2020. It's easy to look back on it. But I say this just going back to my relationship. I am in a beautiful relationship right now with the person I want to be with. And if I had met him when I had broken up with my ex, we would not be together because I was not in an emotional place, energetic space to manifest him, to understand what he could bring. And he wouldn't have been either because he was also getting out of a relationship at that time. I needed to heal. I needed a year and a half of being single, working on myself, going to therapy, doing the nervous system, doing the mindset regulation in order to finally, when I saw him, when he was in front of me, in order to understand that that was for me and that was something that I wanted. Same thing with the job, right? It's the same thing. So you will get those manifestations when you become that higher version of yourself. And not to confuse it with becoming a perfect version of yourself. That's not going to happen and that doesn't exist, right? You can constantly evolve as your manifestations come. You don't need to be perfect. It's just implementing and becoming that higher version of yourself, right? So let's use the relationship example again. Well, let's see what this looks like in practice, right? You're manifesting that dream relationship. Okay. You have to decide how that person in that relationship is going to act and behave, right? So if you imagined yourself in a relationship with your dream partner, how would you act, behave? What would you say? What would you do, right? Let's say that in your dream relationship, you're staying in on Friday nights, drinking a, fun drink, ordering in food, watching a movie. And then Saturday night, you're spending the day at the gym, then going to the library, the bookstore, going to a cute cafe, walking around the city you live in, right? Maybe once a week you go out to cool dinner spots with your partner, right? And then other days you cook at home together. Maybe you have a pet together, right? This is like your dream scenario, okay? So, this is you, that what we just described. This is you in your higher version. This is you with your dream partner. So, what can you do now? Right? If your relationship with your dream partner doesn't involve going to the club on Saturday night, then why are you in the club now? If you think you're going to find your partner in the club now when you don't want a partner who goes to the club, that's not going to work. Do the things now that you would want to do when you're in a relationship, right? Do those things now. Because imagine if you're doing those things, you're going to those places, those coffee shops, those cool restaurants, the bookstore, arts and crafts, bike club, like whatever it is that you love to do, that's where you're going to meet someone who also wants to do those things. This took me a while to understand and this is honestly mind-blowing, but like you have to do those things now that you would do if you were with a partner because that's how you're going to attract that person. So, can you start spending your weekends like you would spend it with a partner? Can you get a pet and then you can meet, someone at the dog park, right? Can you go to those cool new restaurants? You don't have to go alone, go with a friend, right? Become that person now and then you're going to manifest and attract that partner, right? So, same thing with finding a new job. Let's look at this as well. So, who will you be when you have a new job? What is your life going to look like? Will you have better work life balance in your new job? Will you go to the gym 3 times a week? Are you going to start saving money once you have a new job, right? We're just imagining that higher version of yourself that has the new job. How can you start doing these things now, right? If you imagine yourself having work life balance, then how can you start setting boundaries now? Whether that means taking email notifications off your phone or not checking your phone or not picking up work calls after 5 or 6 p.m., right? Or spending vacation time actually on vacation or taking your hour lunch break, right? You can start doing those things now. Maybe you can't go to the gym because you don't have time, but can you start doing home workouts 2 or 3 times a week? Maybe you can't save $200 a month. Can you just save 5? It's getting yourself into the version of you that has everything that they want. Because at the end of the day, the new partner, the new job, the whatever you're manifesting isn't going to solve all your problems. I'm here to tell you, it's not going to solve all your problems. If you don't have work-life balance now in your job, in your new job, you're also not going to have work-life balance. Period. It's up to you to make those changes. You have to make those changes now. You have to do those things now in order to attract what you want. So you have to put yourself into that energy, and then you will be more energetically open to what it is that you're actually manifesting, right? Another example, let's say you want to get an internal promotion, right? Typically, this is my experience, this is most people's experience, is you have to start doing the job before you get promoted. That's usually, unfortunately, how it works. But what that means is that if you're already doing that job, inevitably you're going to get promoted. Why? Because you're already doing that job. You've talked to your manager, you're already doing those tasks, you're already good at it. HR says sign off, check. She can be promoted, end of the day, right? Because you're becoming that version of yourself. I remember when I was in corporate, I was still a staff member. I was a project manager and I wanted to move up to becoming a team leader. And we had pretty much like a casual, like business casual or like not super, dressed up sort of work attire. But when I was wanting to become a team leader, I started dressing like that. I wore skirts and dresses and heels. I wore blazers, right? I started dressing like the version of myself that was a team leader. And I ended up becoming one within 6 months, which was awesome. So, again, just reiterating, this is all about energetics and how you show up, but it really is rooted in science. And if you have a desire, that desire is there for a reason. So if you're manifesting something or you want to manifest something or you feel like in your mind, in your soul, in your body that there's something that you really really want, there's a reason that it's there. There's a reason you have that desire. And maybe you need to work on yourself first. Maybe you have some lessons to learn. Maybe there's other things that you need to go through first, right? It's possible. It's totally possible. But there's a reason that you have that desire. So rather than stress and be anxious and harp on it, work on becoming the version of yourself that has everything that they want, right? And don't stress on the timeline. I know it can be hard not to stress on the timeline, but you have to do alternate things so that you don't stress on the timeline, right? Because stressing is going to dysregulate your nervous system. You're going to have a lack mindset and you're not going to be open energetically, period, right? That's what's going to happen. So understand that your desires and your manifestations are there for a reason. Take the aligned action, right? Do the mindset and nervous system regulation work. Become that version of yourself now. And when you're ready to receive the manifestation, it's going to come to you. It's going to come. It's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. I know this was a little bit of a woo episode, spirituality, but I love talking about this stuff and I love talking about it with my clients as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. Just to reiterate, I still have some coaching slots open for July. If you'd like to work with me, I offer a 20-minute complimentary call with everyone who fills out the application. So we can discuss everything before you make any payments or before we do anything like that. Everything is on my website. You can apply there. I have different packages for, the 3-month package. If you wanted to have 2 one-to-one calls a month or 4 one-to-one calls a month. It's super interactive. I talk to you during the week as well. It's a great time whether you're trying to find a new job or reach your goal or manifestation. It's a great time to work with a coach in the summer so that by fall you can have all your manifestations come to fruition. I'll link everything in the show notes as always, and you can always DM me on Instagram if you have any questions or want to chat. I hope y'all have an amazing, fabulous week, and I'll catch you in the next episode.